Hey, Taco here again. Just wanted to talk a little bit today about cost. And I'm back inside the building because the weather is still kind of really bad outside and 20-mile-an-hour winds and awful gusts and rain. So hopefully it'll settle down sooner or later so I can fly again. I forgot what the toggles do at this point. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about cost. When I got into backpacking, a friend of mine told me backpacking is sort of a sport that has a high cost of entry. So you buy about $2,000 worth of stuff, but once you get into it, then the maintenance is low. But unless you screw stuff up and break it, you're just paying kind of a maintenance level thing. So I want to talk about what does it cost? And I've got a few examples up here from things that I have heard of or shopped for myself. This is the website for Ira's Paramotor. That's the one I bought. And you can see he's got a lot of options. So there's the Moster 185, which most of us bigger guys use. There's the Atom 80 if you're really light, and then there's some other different versions. But the only one I have actual physical experience with is the Moster 185. That seems to be a very popular motor. He's got a lot of different frame colors, and then at the bottom tells you how much it is for the not the basic, but not the extreme one. His base price is $73.80, so $7,300, and that seems to be pretty close. If you look at Parajet here, the Mavericks are all about 82, 88, depending on what engine you get and what you get that comes with it. And then Kanguk, the Kanguk Amaruk, which is actually the first one I looked at before I found the Iris, and this one says starting at $66.40 done. So depending on what you add to it is going to make a great difference in the cost, but they're all right about $6,700, say $7,000 to $8,000 for the backpack unit and the engine. So the frame, the engine, the seat, basically everything you need to take off except the wing. So that's part of it, and that's a huge chunk. Getting into something when you're spending $7,000, $8,000, that's a huge chunk of getting into something. Then the other half of what you need is the wing. Wings are a lot harder to price because if you go on a manufacturer's website, they tell you all about the wing, but they really don't tell you any price. You've got to go to a dealer. So for example, this is Ozone Mojo Power 2, which is kind of a beginner wing. And then the one I bought, the BGD Magic, the current price is $3,700. So you've got a price for the motor and the seat and the engine, the frame, the hoop, all that stuff is one chunk, and then your wing is your other chunk. So two different parts. $3,700, much more doable than $7,000. The nice thing about Paramotors is you can break it up. So you buy the wing, you spend your $3,700. Maybe you learn to kite it on the ground with an instructor or kite it on your own, and then so you get some experience with that. And then you can put the wing away until you get your actual motor. If you really, really needed to, you could break it down further. Some companies will sell you, I just want to buy the frame. Well, that's $3,000 or whatever it is. And then I'll buy the engine later and put it on myself. Me, I considered it, but at the same time, you buy the frame, then you got to bolt the engine to it. You've got to do all this stuff yourself. And it's an unfamiliar arena to a lot of people. So I'd rather just get a full, ready, pretty much ready to fly unit. And then I don't have to worry about it, right? I don't have to, did I bolt this on right? Did I run this strap through the right place? So to me, it's a lot easier to get a full unit. And then if you need to replace something, you can take stuff off and then you know where it goes. So you're sure you're gonna get it right. So that's basically it. That's the two things you need. So we're gonna break it down by price wise. So, and here's what I put in today's prices. Now, I didn't pay this for my stuff. The wing, when I got my BGD Magic, it was a little cheaper because it was a couple of years ago. You got price increases due to inflation and all that. The tariffs are something you might have to worry about coming soon, depending on where stuff is coming from. So if you were to go out today and buy brand new stuff, $3,700 for the wing, or thereabouts, depending on who you're buying it from and what you buy. About $7,500 for a motor or a frame. And then of course training. A lot of people don't factor training in. So you're going to go to if you don't do it like me, and you go to a full-on like week, 10-day training facility, you'll pay about $2,500. So in total, it's $13,700. The nice thing is, again, this is cheaper than most base model motorcycles, so it's cheaper. You're not having to pay registration and property taxes every year. You're not having to worry about a license. So that's the nice thing about it. There's also there's a little bit more stuff, ancillary stuff you're probably going to want for a paramotor. So you got $13,700. Okay, so now you throw in like $200 for a helmet, even if you make it yourself, and you've got the ear cups you put on there like I did. A couple $100 for a radio. You're probably going to want, you're going to want a GoPro or an Insta360. So there you go, $400 or $500 for a camera. So you can count on, you're going to need some oil for the engine. I got a little mixing bottle. So I pour my oil in the mixing bottle and then pour it in the gas can. And then so you're going to have all this extra stuff, ancillary stuff that goes along with it. So you might as well go ahead and round it up to like $14,500. Now, so how do you afford that? Well, a lot of the paramotor people will say, okay, well, we offer financing through Affirm or Klarna or some other kind of web-based loan program. I had bad experience with one because I financed a piece of equipment, not paramotor related. And then when I paid it off, I had to fight with them because they wanted to still charge me the interest they would have earned had I had the loan for the entire time. My state, thankfully, doesn't allow that. If you pay a loan off early, that's it. So watch for that. I really suggest first of all, the way I financed the wing was easy. When I got out of the police department, I had several rifles and a handgun that I didn't need anymore that I bought with my own money. So I sold those, and I had a larger drone as well, and I sold it. And that pretty much paid for the wing. So I didn't have to worry about wing cost. I sold some stuff that I had. Okay, I've got the money to buy the wing. And so I bought my glider. And so I bought it first, and I kind of started practicing with it. But the paramotor part, the backpack unit with the seat and the motor and the prop and all that good stuff, the backpack part's gonna be your big expense. Anywhere from 66 to 86. So if we say 7,500 in there, well, how can we do that? Well, the best thing to do would be just to have some disposable income, some things you've saved up for, or maybe like me and you've got some stuff you want to sell. That would be the best way, so you don't have to finance anything. If you're going to finance a paramotor, what I really suggest is a credit union or bank personal loan. Now, some of them won't finance aircraft, so you might be out of luck. You might be stuck going to Klarna or Affirm or one of these web-based places, or financing directly through the paramotor company. But just watch that. So that's going to be your biggest single chunk of expense. Everything else is easily broken down. The wing's cheaper. You can get training. You get training first, and then decide whether or not you really want to invest in this. Another thing is used gear. Whoever you get instruction from, I guarantee they've probably got somebody that's getting out of the sport. They've scared themselves. They just had a kid, and the wife or the husband is like, no, you're not doing this. You've got to give this up. And they just had a kid. They're like, I can't get a divorce just so I can go fly because, I'll be stuck 18 years of child support. So there's somebody out there that's getting rid of something. And your instructor should be able to help you find that. With dealers, you have some used gear available sometimes. For example, my own personal paramotor came from Iris. And there he goes. So it came from Iris. It was a demo unit that was used at Salton Sea. So I got up with the company. I was like, what do y'all got? And I was told, hey, we've got this demo unit that's going to Salton Sea. And when we get back, basically I was like, hey, can I put a deposit down on it? And they're like, well, unless anybody buys it out from under you right there at the thing, it's yours. So I was able to get mine at a discount because it was already broken in. So the engine had about 10, 15 hours on it. It was already broken in. And so I got a good deal on it. And a lot of these companies, you buy something from them that's $7,000, $8,000, they'll ship it to you for free. So you don't have to worry about shipping. So that's really kind of it about how much it costs to get into the sport. So I really suggest if you're curious about it and you want to get into it, take a training day. A lot of times you can go to some of these schools and get kind of a taster day. They'll let you try to kite a wing, they'll show you the gear, maybe take you on a tandem flight. Because the last thing you want to do is invest all this money, then you take off and you're scared to death of heights. So that's another video entirely.